welcome all. Welcome to, sorry for our you got a slightly behind the scenes peek of us doing the final bit of prep there and sorting out a few tech issues. Welcome to Futures of Design Education. It's run by EdSig DRS, which is the Education Special Interest Group for the Design Research Society. You may have seen a sign flash up saying we're recording this. We record all of these Futures events, and we will drop a link into the chat in a bit that shows you where you can see previous ones and where recording of this one will be when we're done today. So look, thank you very much for coming. We are delighted to have Darren Raven here today. Darren's a design educator. He's been a design educator for over 25 years. Program leader for new. How long, Darren?
I think 20 and a bit. Yeah.
20 and a bit. Well,
yeah.
Maybe all of about what I'm about to say, but Darren might need to fact check. For 20 and a bit. He's been a program leader at numerous design and illustration courses across the UK. He's a National Teaching Fellow, which is a prestigious award in the UK that recognises outstanding contribution to teaching excellence. Co-founder of the Graphic Design Educators Network and numerous other things that he's been up to over time. I once heard someone describe Darren as a one-person design education liminal zone. And as you may or may not know, a liminal zone is this kind of transitional space where norms are disrupted and new possibilities emerge. And I think, Darren is, it's a great description. He is a liminal zone of sorts where he kind of combines, I believe, like this kind of deep understanding of design pedagogy and theory, profoundly creative mind, and abiding commitment to students. And he mixes these things in really playful but impactful ways. He's made me rethink all sorts of assumptions I've had about design education on many occasions, and I'm expecting the same to happen today. You can see this kind of thinking in his intrepid Lecture Zine project, which we're going to be hearing much more about in a moment. It's a brilliant example, really, of Darren's playful and I think quietly radical approach to design education. So Darren, welcome. Yes. And over to you.
Thank you. Who said the liminal thing?
I think it was Josh and Ivan, you know.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Books from the future. Check those guys out, folks, if you haven't heard of them. Well, thank you very much for having me today and giving me precious bit of your Friday afternoon or morning or whatever time it is where you are. Thanks, James and Nicole, for introducing me and sort of through the technical things. Can everyone hear me okay? Am I coming through clearly? Yes, good. Okay, so I've been working on this project since January the 1st, 2025. It's my third daily Instagram challenge. This one, Lecture Zine, is where I'm trying to bring together lots of parts of myself as in terms of an illustrator / designer, as a kind of person in the world, as a white northern working class bloke in his 50s, as a design educator, as father, as lots of things. Very, very sort of intersectional sort of approach to this. So I started on January the 1st and I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I just had the idea of creating like a post every day on Instagram that was 12 slides. I chose 12 because if I wanted to print them out, that's kind of a nice, easy format to sort of print out. It's just 3 sheets of paper, double-sided and stapled. It's a nice number that divides well as well. And just thought, well, I'll just start putting things on Instagram that kind of bring together all these things that I'm interested in, but do it in a lecture format. So try, these they could operate as slides within educational context and stuff. So the point was to make public something that I do daily, do it in a kind of lo-fi, cheap, off the books, unofficial, uninstitutional manner using Instagram, which is kind of relative. It's free to post on. You just need the kit, and it's about practicing things. It's about trying things out. So that's kind of like what the first slide is. It's sort of, I still don't know what it is that I'm doing. You know, every day it changes, and I make a new zine and I put it on Instagram, and it spurs further thought or discussion, etc. So, can people see that? I've moved on to the next slide. Yes, that's slide one. Sorry, Zine 1 and Zine 4. The first 10, I based them all around numbers because I just, I thought that would be easy to do. So the first one was just 12 concepts of one. So starting with the concept of one and using sort of de bono stuff and things that I rely on teaching. The 4-1, I started looking at different educational theories or social theories like communities of practice. Things like that. These, I'll as with all my zines, I'll make them public on a Google Doc. I'll put the link to in the chat here as well, so you can click on these images, and it'll take you to the Google Slides version where you can sort of read them if you've not seen them already. So why do it now? Well, I guess I'm kind of coming into the autumn of my career. I do hope to be able to retire soon, but maybe a 10, 12, 15 years time or something. So it's just a nice stage to stop, pause. I relatively recently switched jobs, switched institutions, and switched levels. So I moved from undergrad to postgrad teaching. I just wanted to sort of take stock. So, like, I don't know, like James said, I've been teaching 20 plus years. Lots of times, you just, I don't know, a lot of these zines are about the things that I see in the world that could be better. So it was an opportunity to vent, to kind of do something outside of the institutional sort of frame and way of carrying yourself that you have to do in the daily world. And I don't know, just do something a little bit rebellious and kind of maybe provocative and a bit critical. So the Zine 11, which you can see at the top there, the one with a sort of mushy cover, that was I don't know, it's kind of quite naive approach, but teaching graphic design and illustration, loads of the books are just full of like white dudes. So that one was just 12 different people that you could search for that weren't white dudes. Dead simple. And then the cover was just the designers that weren't white dudes sort of overlaid over the top. The one below it featuring Blanche from Coronation Street. As I teach illustration, I'm quite interested in characters and narrative and storytelling. And you can't really beat Coronation Street for strong characters. If you don't know it, check it out. There's loads on YouTube. So I kind of took the classic story archetypal characters and sort of smashed them together with Coronation Street characters, but also thinking about design personalities as well. So somehow kind of smashing all those three things together in a sort of, I don't know what you call it. It's not speculative design. It's just a bit daft remixy sort of thing in a way. So this is kind of the whole way I do these. I don't really plan too far ahead. I don't like to. I planned this one out about a week or so ago. So this one's quite a rare one. I normally start them in the evening or in the afternoon at lunchtime, and I have something ready to post hopefully by midnight. Then it goes out, and then I spend the rest of the day panicking about what should I do next. So it's kind of improvising. I'm improvising a bit, but I'm interested in anti-planning and not being sure about where you're going, and maybe setting up generative processes in place which can allow you to play and be free. I was just having a good conversation with a colleague, and we're going to do a zine together about playful ways of doing your admin. So the time kind of is the plan, the structure is the plan, but the content is kind of improvisational. You know, it leads on from one another. So where are we now? Yeah, so I did one here. The bottom one is 12 different manifestos that I typed a load of angry, ranty things into ChatGPT and asked it to sort it out into 12 themes, and then turn those themes into 12 10-point manifestos, which kind of I always keep going back to Abraham Simpson shouting at the cloud. That's kind of how I'm seeing myself at the moment, because you know, we can be angry and have opinions and be critical about things, but you know, how can we actually change things? You know, it's not a lot we can change, but you know, maybe we can write about it and make things. The top one with the animals overlapping, that one was a collaborative one with a colleague from careers, and she was doing research. Lisa was doing research about values. So we jokingly were talking about those interview questions where you get asked what sort of animal would you be? You know, would you rather fight a chicken-sized horse or a horse, you know, 100 horse-sized chickens? I don't know, I'm getting it wrong. So you know, we created a zine. Well, I created a zine where the animals represented the values, and it was kind of a little bit of one of those psychometric test type things. So a lot of these rely on conversations I have or things I read. Where this belongs, you know, it came from two previous Instagram projects. The first one, 2023, was where I made a soup every day and posted that on Instagram. They were all experimental and quite strange, but tasty. You should check them out. There's lots of recipes if you like soup. And then last year I did a 1 minute 20-second animation just using my iPhone and paired that with a techno track and did that every day. So that was kind of like walking around capturing things and stuff like that. So again, I'm pretty au fait with using Instagram as a place to publish and connecting to people. So it very much it belongs in that world, but it kind of came from a staff development session we had where we were talking about getting your work out there, because I'm on the educational track at where I work, and you know, we're not meant to publish papers and things like that. We can do, but you know, we're often thinking and talking about, well, how can we disseminate our practice and how in a way that's meaningful to our practice. So the idea for this came from that. So it kind of belongs on the internet. It's outside of academic sort of proper sort of publishing, things like that. So and what it does, it kind of opens theories and the things that I think are important for designers and design students and design educators to think about. It gives them a way that they might actually find it, because there's not many design tutors I know that read journals, to be honest. They might do, but they won't check them every day. They might check their Instagram every morning. So if I can get someone reading, checking out who Bell Hooks is from a crazy zine, that's a win. So it kind of it belongs outside of places. So here's one. The top one features Etienne Wenger's face looking very 1970s. That one was a kind of one, which I did for students, but also I'm very interested in communities of practice as a kind of theoretical framework. So that one was all about communities of practice and how to network, even if you're introvert or extrovert, kind of how it actually functions and how you can use it within a design situation, because we're always bagging on to our students about getting out there and portfolios and things like that. Then the other one below that one was called Designers Are Liars. So I was reading a lot at the moment at the time about branding and things like that, and I hate branding and the kind of way that creativity in graphic design is just used for capitalism, really, so that's my big beef. So that one was all about that, and I think we should be upfront about it. I'd be happy to work with students who do want to make loads of money for big brands and get rich, but they often don't even realize that that's a thing, so yeah, so that's why sometimes these are good that they don't exist within my day job, because my employees might not agree with that stance. when does it become pedagogy? So yeah, this is an interesting thing. Again, like lots of design tutors, they don't really use this word pedagogy. They kind of have pedagogy, but they kind of get a bit nervous around it as a word. So I don't know. In a way, it's kind of like not leading by example, but just putting it out there, showing that, we don't have much time with our students these days, but you can create things which maybe they'll stumble across, which they can use, or students in other institutions, lots of tutors from my external examining network have been sharing these with their students. I get lots of likes after a certain class where they've shown one of them and things like that. So I guess it's kind of public pedagogy in a way. Yeah, so again, I was talking about putting out things into the world where people who maybe won't have heard of Paulo and Pedagogy of the Oppressed might see it, and I've done it in a kind of playful, kind of collagey, muppety. I don't know what those on South Park. There's those in meta cartoon characters in there where the heads move, kind of way. And the top one with everyone is our kid. That again was quite a ranty one. I'm not a fan of the Anthony Burrell work harder, be nice to people poster. I think there's lots of things that says which I kind of disagree with. So I did one which was more northern, going back to the Coronation Street, where taking northern colloquialisms and trying to create more sort of positive. More welcoming, inclusive sort of messages. I realise I'm rambling here. How am I doing for time, James? Okay. Yes.
Doing good. Yeah. Keep rambling.
Does it make sense?
It's making a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Is everyone okay? Sort of thing. Yes. So who is this all really for? Curious bystanders. What's really nice about this is loads of people who I made friends with during my soup project or my techno project. I've got a big soup posse out there who we talk about stocks and things like that. And the techno people, they're kind of quite into different things. So a lot of those I've been chatting to them about this project. It's for students, tutors, and others. Other people, academic misfits. Yeah, I don't know. Can you self-identify as an academic misfit? Maybe the whole design departments in universities are classed as that. So yeah, it's kind of for that. It's kind of for me, I guess, in a way as well. Just to kind of get stuff out there. Air things. Yeah, so moving on one. Oops, has it got stuck? No, there we go. Yeah, so who does it belong to? Who's it really for? The top one here, the Anti-Design Thinking Manifesto. I think that was one of the first ones where I kind of upset colleagues who I work with. Rather naively of me, I forgot we have a module called Design Thinking. And I wasn't anti that module. I was anti the whole tech bro, Silicon Valley, IDEO, design thinking can solve the world thing. So, I'm sorry if I if I hurt anyone's feelings. But if you read it, it takes down design thinking as a kind of Western white patriarchal sort of thing that is quite naive and insidious, but it also proposes 12 alternative ways of working, more inclusive, more feminist, more from diverse parts of the world. The one below it with the A and the I is in response to reading lots of kind of quite sad articles on design press websites saying, oh, AI, it'll never take off. People like working with people. It'll never be as creative as humans are. And, things like this. And I thought these were quite naive arguments. If the world has ever shown us anything, it's that if it can make money and it's quicker and it's good enough, it will take over. So it's a call to people who are worried about it to delve a bit deeper and find deeper arguments against it if they are against it. I'm not saying everyone should be for it, but but I just think, it's naive to think that humans like working with humans, and artificial intelligence can't create things that emulate human creativity. I think in the short space of time we've seen it, it's scary the way it's progressed. Whose position am I speaking from? As James said, I guess I class as a design school veteran. I've worked at 6 universities for 20 plus years, externally examined at 10 others. So I've been part of the Graphic Design Educators Network with James, which was really good to get to meet people. So it's bringing all that to the fore. Situated interloper. I don't know what I mean by that in a way. I always feel a bit like a bit of a charlatan in a university setting. Nothing I did on my degree or my MA prepared me for the world of academic sort of practice and things like that. It prepared me to be creative, and that's useful. And also, what's becoming more and more important to me is my background as a working class person. Every year there's depressing statistics that come out about the underrepresentation of people from working class backgrounds, or backgrounds where they're the first generation sort of people to consider the creative industries. So that they're the sort of positions that I'm sort of speaking from. And definitely the lecture zine is definitely not an authorized day job, university stamped thing. I don't want it to be, because I wouldn't be able to say the things that I said. I wouldn't be able to make them as quick as I can. I'd have to go through channels to check everything. But that doesn't mean I'm not mindful of that stuff. Next slide. Playfulness. Yeah, I like an acronym. So this one was made, the top one was made for a midpoint session with my students, just as a kind of thing they could engage with if they wanted to, which I can't read the slides here, it's too small. Fracture, upend, contort, and kick. So it's like a bit like Scamper. If people know Scamper, the substitute combine thing. So it's a process where taking ideas and purposely messing them up. The one below it, flat roof misogyny. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with poetry. I quite like song lyrics and things. I'm a big Fall fan, Marky Smith. So it was International Women's Day, and I love looking at things like X and Threads for all the kind of idiots posting things. So I just created a series of very simple phrases like 4 pints Churchill, and flat roof misogyny, like as in like kind of northern pubs where your dad says don't drink in a flat roof pub and stuff like that, because they're meant to be quite rough and scary. So yeah, some of them are kind of just daft things, but it kind of all plays together. Could this be a form of research? Yes, I guess. It's research through doing. It's, I guess, critical making. So I'm making work, but it's always informed by something. The daily aspect of it, it's sort of iterative and drip by drip sort of thing. So there is a framework. It's outside of ref and things like that as well. Could I turn this into papers and books and things? Probably. Do I want to? Not sure. These are a couple of other scenes where I kind of got into trouble with colleagues. The Tyranny of Craft. That one was I hate virtuosity. Any musician that's all fiddly and really competent just turns me off. I only like punk raw things where there's broken bits. Where it feels like it's a bit off, stuff like that. So when things get all smooth and neat. I don't like them anymore, and I feel like a lot of people struggle, especially people I work with on the masters. We have a lot of people coming from different disciplines, studying design and illustration for the first time, and they immediately think they've got to be portfolio finished, and you're like, no. So that one was about that. The other one, the Classroom Doom predicted one, is another Marky Smith inspired one, looking at the statistics about underrepresentation of working class people in design education and in the design industry as well. And also the marketization of creative education. Like I was lucky to get a grant. We could even get housing benefit in for your rent, and you could sign on in the summer. I left university with no debts at all, and I'd had no money behind me. So, I feel really lucky to have come through that, and I don't think that's really impossible now. Humor, disruption, and dismissing stuff. I think this is really important. Life's too serious. It is serious and horrible. I do struggle with the doom, and I love dystopian stuff. So I kind of lean into that a bit. I think that you can say things in a humorous, mischievous way, but obviously with sensitivity and care that kind of can alleviate situations. So these are a couple of them. I like categorizing things. So the top one is the idea of if educators were all a bunch of heavy metal fans or prog rock fans, all with their denim jackets with things that they liked or could do on their back. So like the battle jacket idea. So these are all different types of design tutor stereotypes. And below that, it's one of my most popular ones where I was having a chat with Jamie Steen from Northumbria. I think James was there, and we were talking about how some design courses are almost like historic reenactment courses, because they ban computers and everybody has to learn the grid and letterpress and stuff like that. So we kind of jokingly talked about that. So from that idea, I developed the idea of a BA in speculative apocalyptical design, which was designing, for it's probably, it's probably quite apt these days. But yeah, I can't remember the name of the modules, but they were kind of, basically becoming a designer for a Mad Max gang, a bit like that guy with all the writing on him. How would a design degree be useful in a grim meat hook future? This project is always at the point where it could all fall apart. Every day, one of my kids might fall ill. I might have to take my in-laws to the hospital. Time is always against me with this. But I quite like that. I quite like the fragility of it. I quite like its instability. I like the fact that it's like when it comes to post a new one, I will post something. I know I can trust myself. I've done this 2 years on the row. I mean, I was in China last year, so I was like emailing videos to my 15-year-old daughter to upload to Instagram for me myself and telling her which techno track to put with it. So, she did that for me. So, improvisation is cool. These were two that were done quite quick, but again, were quite popular. The top one is looking at this idea of recuperation. I forgot the name of the theorist. I can't remember. It's Derrida, I think. And how capitalism absorbs protest, how it absorbs anything that's anti-capitalist. It all gets sucked in and re-put out there. So that one was about that. That was a bit ranty. And then the one below it again was using some stats from underrepresentation of working class people in the creative industries. So that one was quite text heavy. Again, both of those were really popular. I put those on LinkedIn as well, and lots of conversations about that. This is a question to you all, really. If you were to do something like this, or to look at your practice as educators or involved in education, how could you do things outside of the official channels? Or that was kind of for you, for your well-being, and just like your creative urges and things. For me, I don't think I would do this differently. It's changing all the time because of its daily nature. What I do like from it is the emergent insight I'm getting. So the other day I put all the captions that I put on Instagram to accompany my posts through ChatGPT and asked it, like, who am I? What am I doing? What do you think of my brain? And it kind of came back with some interesting stuff, which I turned into today's zine. So if you check my Instagram, you can see what that's turned into. So yeah, iterative reflection, kind of always reflecting. These two are quite popular as well. The LinkedIn one, LinkedIn Ease, I've heard it called, where everyone's thrilled to announce that they've gone for a coffee break, or so proud or ecstatic that it's Friday, and this sort of performative sincerity is called, where you're kind of encouraged by your job to show this sort of thing to the world, this positive aspect of work, having to work. Who invented working? Why do we have to work? Yeah, and then I do like making, if in doubt, if I'm stuck for time, I'll do a manifesto. So this one I was learning to play around and distorting the type. So
Okay.
this one, sorry?
Yeah, reasonable.
Okay. So that one I was playing around with type, and it's just like phrases that have come to me and bits of things that have stuck together.
Around it.
So
Very
last slide. Where might this lead? I don't know. I'll do another Instagram thing next year. I'm not quite sure what that'll be yet. It could become books. People have said to me, "Oh, you should publish some of these." I don't know. Don't know if I want to. Yeah, at the moment, I'm too interested in doing this. As I said before, I'm kind of doing this because I'm at a stage where I think I'm seeing cycles of things coming and going in education, and I don't want to be one of those people in the staff room saying, "Oh, I've seen this before." I'd rather do something positive about it. So maybe this is positive. Yeah, I think that. So yeah, this is. I think I've got one more slide after this. So yeah, these again were popular ones. I have real trouble remembering names, as I've shown today. So I created 12 football teams of theorists. Of different types of theories, ways of looking at the world. So that one's quite funny. I am going to follow up that one with the idea of a season of like how these teams might play against each other, or like I could do the kits as well. I've devised the colours and things like that. And then another recent one that was really popular had Olivia Newton-John on it, because every time I hear that song, Let's Get Physical, I just hear Let's Get Critical, and people mention they were critical all the time. So I leaned into that. It was quite flippant, but actually it turned out to be one that I'm quite pleased with. Yeah, so if you want to see more of them, here's a GIF of like all the ones, the Instagram grid. I got really sad when the Instagram grid went rectangular. It changed from square. I like the squares. You can see them all here. There's a link to the Instagram. It's just DRN Raven. I put some of them on my LinkedIn. And if you want to ask any questions, you can email me there. Yeah. I think I've run out of things to say, James and Nicola.
That's wonderful, Darren. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna give you a round of applause on the React first of all.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Let's open it up to questions. So if you'd like to ask Darren a question, just pop the hand up on Teams and I'll just follow the order of that. It might be Darren, it might, as lovely as it is having the GIF going, I can't see the hands up very easily. Would you mind?
I'm not sharing.
Oh, Nicole, would you mind unsharing? Yeah.
There we go. Is that gone?
I have my own hand up. I got first.
Go on, over to
It's
you,
all
Nicole.
right. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, very inspiring. I had a good laugh once or twice or three times or more.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. But what made me think of was something our students. So I'm at the Open University, which is just purely distance education. We never really ever meet our students in person. And I do think, though, that's increasingly so. I don't know how you feel about it. Do you see your students less? And the thing now students say quite often is actually we want to know who our tutors, educators, who are those people who teach us, so to say. I have no sense of them. And at the OU, it's a lot about the content, as in, beautiful books and interactives and whatever, really well made, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, what strikes me here with what you do is that you get a really good sense of who the person is through the work, which is really quite amazing. But I also love the fact that it's just out there as part of the world. So yeah, I'm just wondering if you can think, the question is about the increasing distance between teachers, tutors and students, and if that might be something that could bridge the gap in a different way. If you agreed with that there is an increasing gap, maybe you don't.
I kind of do. I think contact time and hours is, I don't know, when I was a student, saying that we hardly saw our tutors or sort them out. We were just lucky to have a space, and we worked, and then sometimes the tutors would wander around and pin up some information on the wall. We didn't have VLEs and things, and we kind of liked being with each other, and we were lucky to have a space, a studio where we could all be, and like the tutor input was kind of inconvenient sometimes. However, some tutor input was good. It kept us going. I think there's a lot of bean counting with regards contact time, which I think, and checking attendance and signing in. And I can understand where that comes from in terms of, students now being seen as consumers and them imagining themselves it's transactional sort of thing. But I think, yes, I do this because it's part of me that lives outside of that. And for years I have felt quite charlatan-y, is that a word? A bit like, I'm full-time educator. I'm not really making creative work. I'm just being creative with how the courses are run. So this is it's come at a point where I'm just like putting money where my mouth is, and it's out there. So I think it can do. And another thing is, it's the university might be benefiting because people who are considering doing a master's might see this and think, oh, that's one of the tutors. Not them saying we should all be forced to do that, because but I think that could help. And maybe if students see who I am and they want to come and work with me or talk, that's all good. I'm not seeing it as fixing something the institution should fix. I'm not doing it from that perspective. I know some people might want to do that, but then why give your time to fixing something that the institution should fix? If you know what I mean. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Cool. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is
Nicole.
that somebody else
going
to? James, are you going to do the question convening?
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the hands. You do the answers.
Yeah.
Over to Nick, Deacon.
Oh, Nick.
Hi.
Long
hey,
time.
Darren, how's things?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, really great to when I saw this come up, and great to James and whoever has organised this talk. This has invited you in. This is fantastic. I had the pleasure of teaching with you, if only somewhat briefly, a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I know you've got this kind of wealth of knowledge at your disposal that's evident in these things you've been posting. And when you started doing this, I thought this is super interesting. I was talking with James Dyer about this yesterday as well. I was sure that this guy's just going to run out of steam at some point, but no, because every post is so rich and layered with. And here we are. You're still at it. I missed the initial part of the your talk. So you may have spoken about this, about print elements of it. But now, obviously, to my knowledge, at least, it only exists on your Instagram feed and post. Something about, like, it's this, for me. I don't know what it is. So this is a question for you. Is there something about its ephemeral quality online on an Instagram feed as opposed with music that's really integral to this? Or how different would this be in print? Are there plans for it to go into print in some way? Or I suppose you were just talking about what you plan to do with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have any plans to print them as they are. I mean, some of the images, I've done one on one of them. It said chips, peace and gravy, I think, something. It's like a northern thing, and people have said, "Oh, can I have that as a poster?" I might do that, but I like the fact that it's on Instagram and it's tomorrow. There's a new one and it's throwaway, and I try and keep them looking like that. I don't. I'm not precious. Tomorrow's another day. You can have another idea. You can take one of the ideas that maybe you didn't land so well, or you didn't feel was refined enough, and do a different slant on it. So there is repetition. There's lots of ranting about working class underrepresentation. I'm guessing that might get a bit boring for some people, but sod them, because I think it's important. So yeah, I'm open to thinking about. When I finished it, I might be thinking about how could I turn this into something. I mean, there's someone I work with, Vicky Carr, really good graphic designer, and we've been planning for ages to do a book about the soup project, and we finally got an idea now for that, which isn't just recipes. Because people kept saying for that project, "Oh, you're going to do a cookbook?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to do a cookbook. The recipes are on Instagram if you want them. But now we've got an idea about what we can do for that, so it might turn into something. But printing's expensive, and I know running servers to host all this stuff and keep it going online is expensive. But I've got a house full of printed ephemera. I don't need any more.
I just wondered as well, whether someone looking at that, even if it's students looking at a zine on a post on a particular day, there's a liveliness to it that would be different if that was be read from the printed page, I think, as well.
Yeah. The colours would be a lot muted. The only one I printed out was the one for my daughter's 16th birthday, which was the 25th of the I've forgotten, 15th of March one. That's the only one I printed out, because I did that specially for her birthday. So that one exists in the flesh somewhere. And that's the only one with 16 pages as well, as opposed to 12. So yeah, that one. Yeah. Nobody else has got a special birthday this year, so nobody else will get a birthday one. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Regards running out of ideas, that is a constant worry. But then you'll just walk down the street and something will hit you. I've not done the dog dirt one yet. Probably, I'm not going to do one about dog dirt, but
I think that's it. You were talking about it earlier. It's that kind of like what the French phrase for it, nostalgia de la boue, like a nostalgia for the mud, like the dirty qualities of in life. I think you get a sense of that coming through the zines, the posts in your work, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, nice chatting, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Gonna go to Jake.
Hi, Jake.
Hello, Darren. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
First of all, I just wanted to say it's super refreshing to see stuff that's daily, and I hope your students find that as well. It's not that it's not polished, because there's a beautiful quality to it, but there's something really nice about just that idea that it's done and it's out. I hope your students see that, because I don't think they see it enough. My question was around a format that keeps popping up for you, which seems to be the manifesto. Loads of the ones you showed were manifestos, and in my head, constantly thinking about the Labour manifesto being this huge laboured document where every word is like deliberated, and then you're producing 200 of them a year. I'd love to know your thoughts around why the manifesto is kind of an interesting format, I guess.
For me, it's a way of saying a lot of things in a succinct way, and you can say things in a less grammatically correct way. There's a graphic aspect to putting words together. You can be you can switch letters of words around so it doesn't actually make sense. So I think it goes back to when I was on a BTEC diploma at Stockport College in a lecture theatre, which they've just knocked down to build something else. James will know this lecture theatre well. And I can't remember the name of the tutor, but it was the first time, I was 16, the first time ever I was shown like 20th century Dada and futurist manifestos. And I was like, wow, that's a cool thing. So it goes back to a core kind of personal memory, but I don't know, there's something punk about it. It goes with that ephemeralness. I could pore over a manifesto and make sure every word is right. On my Instagram bio, I very clearly put there will be errors. I'm looking forward to the time when I start to contradict myself if I've not done already. I look forward to that. I like the idea of holding opposing thoughts in your head. That's meant to be the signifier of being in a creative state. So I think I'm struggling to answer your question, but
maybe that's next year's post. You just go back and contradict all the ones you've already done. There's a year's worth of content. But no, thank you. That was really interesting. Thank you very much.
I think what it is like the manifestos are quick because they're type based mostly, and if I'm struggling for time, I default to a type based thing, and then jazz it up with some imagery, which is kind of your graphic designer's go to, I guess, if your budget's low and your time's low. But then there's like a purity to that. It's like a classic 3-piece garage band, drums, guitar, bass, it's that kind of classic thing. That's a good question. I don't know how to answer it properly, so I'll ponder that some more. I might do a manifesto about doing many manifestos.
Thanks, Jake. We'll go to Michael. I think Nick's is a legacy hand, so over to you, Michael.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Darren. This was a really inspirational and wonderful. Thanks a lot. I love the anarchy about it and how in the sophisticated way you kind of bring theory and practice together and weave all this together. My question is, how do you, so that it's do you invite students to participate in a way like working on the structure and giving feedback explicitly, so that the students get involved in structuring their own learning process? Or is it a one-way thing where you present all the exercises and the anarchy and the process and they just do it and experience it? Or is there a feedback loop?
You mean in my day job in the teaching?
Yes,
I'm lucky to work with master students now, so it's very much less a case of giving them a structured project and with structured and specified outcomes and such. One of the first projects we set them this year was we had a list of 100 projects, and the projects were quite open, kind of, like one of them was go to 10 different places and scream for 10 seconds and video it, and then do something with those videos. There was no kind of rationale, so we'd set that so that they had to choose 10 of them and do 10 things for each of the 10. And then we'd have crits and feedback sessions where they would share the work. And my job was just to make them aware of the learning outcomes and how the work would be assessed. But within that, there's lots of wiggle room and freedom. So it's a kind of a term that I kind of don't think I've invented, but I can't find much. Is like andragogic constructivism. So andragogy, like the education of adult learners, giving them lots of space and options and choices. Constructivism, providing a scaffolding that you take away. So at the moment, that's kind of what I'm calling my approach. But I think I'm very improvisational and reactive to what the groups of students are like. I think I've always been like that. I can see Catherine's got a hand up, so Catherine knows me. I've probably done a lot of things like this with Catherine. So yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Yes. Yeah. Totally.
I think I've in the bio brief thing for this session, there is a link to the 100 projects. So that's a Google Doc. So if anybody wants to check that out, you can borrow those projects. I'm not going to run them again next year. I'm going to do a whole load of new ones. So, yeah, cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah. Hello, Catherine. Your mic's
Catherine.
off.
Catherine.
Type it in the chat.
There's another question. Go to that. You have a fiddle around with your kit. I think it's Kisa. Over to you.
Hi, Kisa.
Okay, I do not like Microsoft Teams. I don't like the way it's set up. So I was like, oh, where's the mic camera? Okay, I do got a question, and because I didn't get a chance, I'm just looking over, the book and stuff like that. For your students, like, do you require something standard for them to kind of write and submit of like what they're talking about? Like, do they have like a little small design brief they give you to say, hey, this is what I'm going to work on, or do they just kind of come to you individually?
Well, the first some of the earlier modules that we do, they're required to submit like a PDF document to the virtual learning environment, which is assessed. But what's within that, we don't specify the size. We kind of have a ballpark word count and page count, and we've got some examples of variety that we share with them. But what's in them and what they do, because it's master's level, and graphic design isn't really a thing. It's like a kind of ragbag magpie Swiss Army knife of disciplines at master's level. So we've got people interested in typography, we've got people interested in branding, we've got people interested in social sort of engagement, all manner of different types of illustrations. So we keep the submission really open, and we talk to the students about what do they want to submit and how will that evidence the learning outcomes. And the learning outcomes, we take them apart and rewrite them, so the students own them as well, and kind of understand why they're making the work and what it's meant to show and how it helps them, rather than taking the agency away from them, because it shouldn't be doing that at any level of education really, but especially not a master's. So is that okay, Kisa?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thank you, Kisa. Oh, perfect timing. Catherine has typed a question into the chat for you. This will be our last question, I think, folks. So,
okay.
Darren, take a moment to read.
Yeah. So you say you hate branding, but you're so good at it. You are selling deep pedagogic scholarship in a shiny, tiny parcels to a skeptical designer educator masses. Why are you not yet a prof of design pedagogy? And I know you don't care about accolades, etc., etc. Yeah, I don't hate the look of branding, but I hate what it does, and I hate the way that we don't ask questions of it, and it's just lots of students, they channel their creative urges towards something which, if we support them in understanding critical approaches to things, they might go off and set their own stuff up. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not a prof yet. I haven't really applied for it. I guess I should get on that. I think you can apply at my university to become a reader, and then from there. So, but I don't know. My better half, my wife, has recently got her doctorate. So I'm hoping that she goes up the ladder and does all that, so I can just get an army of corgis and live in a shed. I don't know, and just make zines every day. Yeah, I don't know. I just like teaching as well. I like being in the studio with the students. Yes. Yeah, maybe next year's project I'll do an application for different things every day. Yes. Cool. Okay. Thanks, Catherine. I'm sorry your mic didn't work. We can catch up later. Is that it, James?
Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, I'm gonna suggest you use the word uninstitutional at the beginning of your talk. So I wonder if we collectively now anoint you an uninstitutional professor for the day or for the week or for the rest of your zine project at least. Darren, thank you so much. Could everyone hit those react buttons and give Darren a bit of much deserved applause for wonderful, fascinating, amusing talk today.
Yeah, please chat thank you everybody. Please check my Instagram out and do have a look at the things. Let me just where is it? If I put this link in the chat. Oh gosh. Where is it? That link that I've just put in the chat has a link to every single Instagram post as I do them, and to the original Google slides, which is where I compile them. So if you have trouble sleeping, please do have a look. But this is like, I've discovered I'd never heard the term public pedagogy before, but it comes from this sort of critical pedagogy world, and so this is me doing that. So yeah, thanks everybody. Do I just now stand here like the end of Police Squad and just freeze? How do you end these things?
Thank you very much.
We'll all wait
Very
and say
interesting.
goodbye together.
Right,
Cool.
I'm going to go,
All
folks.
right.
Thank
Take
you,
care, all.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, on the presentation, where is it? I'll put that in there as well.
I can share the PDF if you want to. Oh,
there you go. There's a link to the Google Slides as well, which on the final page, it's got my email address. So if you want to drop me a line or hit me up on Instagram or whatever, you can do. Cool. Go follow me. Yes. Thanks, everybody. And to all the people whose names I recognise who've been talking to me and liking my posts, it's much appreciated. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.